Sahanavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
The first two are, who wants to do the summary? Somebody wants to do the summary of Gita, couple of verses. It is good. I want to know whether you understood the question and the answer.
Okay. I was just wondering if someone else would like to do it.
You want to do it?
Anyone to clear your throat?
Then be shy. Just very, very short, because we don't have much time. But just very short, just to see what we have seen and what's the question and how did you start answering it. Okay, it's easier if you do.
Okay, so so we started off saying that. Actually, we started off saying that Arjuna is not a loser because he's got a beautiful wife called Draupadi, but also because. But also,
it's got a nice way to rewind.
Nobody's going to come to your company workshop if you do this.
But also, there's two more reasons actually. Because Arjuna, when he was faced with a dilemma, he asked a question pertaining to how do I deal with this immediate situation that I'm faced with, and how do I deal with life? And the second is, how do I actually attain that which is the highest? So then we proceeded to verse 1, where Arjuna asked, what should I meditate upon? Is it you, that means you implying Isvara, or is it the imperishable Brahman? Is that correct?
Yes, that's perfect.
Now verse 2 answered, which was surprising, which Krishna said, meditate upon me, capital Me, and the me meant Isvara. So the question is why? Because Arjuna first has to, before assimilating the perishable Brahman, imperishable Brahman, has to understand and appreciate the whole picture that he deals with every single day. So Krishna was trying to get him to appreciate his life, laws and orders that coordinate and work in this universe before Arjuna can fully assimilate what it means to say Aham Brahmanasmi. And that's what we start.
That's it. Very good.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, please.
See, I don't want anything to what he said, but as if each of you will be asked to do a 2-minute or 1-minute summary before each class. Just think about it. If you want to write, you can write. Really, it will be a good exercise. Because otherwise things will come and go. But the very exercise of trying to say, what is the gist of what I have learned in this hour? It's very, very important that it will be beneficial for you. Otherwise you can continue and listen for 500, 1,000 hours and nothing will stick. Or very little will stick, not nothing, little will stick. Here it will increase your understanding, and the fact that you have to try to reformulate in your own words your own understanding, it's an amazing exercise. Right? So do as if anybody for the next class will be asked to do the summary. And I encourage you to volunteer to do that, really. It's nice. So you see, Andre is very nice. He's saying, hey, please. Right? Because he sees the benefit it has for him.
Okay. So now, Lord Krishna further answers. So we will see what he answers. So the verses 3 and 4, they come together. Ye tvaksharamaниrdesham abhyartam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyancha kutastamachalam dhruvam sanniyam vendriyagramam sarvatra samabuddhayaha te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hitirataha. Who wants to read the translation? By the way, this translation is from Swamiji's Gita home study. But who wants to read? Yeah.
However, those who contemplate upon that which is not subject to decline, indefinable, not available for objectification, all-pervasive, not an object of thought, which abides in Maya, does not move and is eternal. Those who have complete mastery over the group of sense organs, who are always equal-minded and take delight in the welfare of all beings, gain complete.
Okay. This is a very extremely important verse because Lord Arjuna's question was, should I contemplate on the final reality which is Brahman, or should I think about kind of think about you as a bhakta, right? So Lord Krishna says that it's better for you to actually with Shraddha think about me, right? So now it may seem like there are two goals and two independent goals. What is the first goal? Either you have a choice, and that is what, think about Brahman, and we'll plan raising this. And this beautifully written. I think this verse is really, I think it's probably one of the most nuanced and the best verses I like in this chapter. So Arjuna's question is, do I think about Brahman, which is the ultimate reality, or do I think about you and contemplate on you, Isvara? And it may seem as though when you're thinking about Isvara, Brahman is out, and when you're thinking about Brahman, Isvara is out. But actually in the vision of oneness, you can't have mutually exclusive things, right? So in this verse, the first verse, Lord Krishna very categorically says that you actually think about me. But later on in this verse, he says, even if you are thinking about me, please don't think that it is something which is other than Brahman. So this is something where this actually requires a huge understanding. So what is the huge understanding? In order to actually reconcile this understanding, we need to look a little bit more into what is Isvara and how is Isvara connected to Brahman, right? So then it makes sense. So Isvara, as I showed yesterday, I showed all the different laws, and actually Isvara is not the laws as such, because the laws are mechanical. So Isvara is the intelligence which puts together all the laws, right? So the definition of Isvara in Sanskrit is Sarvajnaha Sarvashaktiman. What does Sarvajnaha mean? It means all knowledge and all power. when I used the term intelligence, actually it meant that there is a knowledge which has the power to manifest the universe. So when I say that, okay, in the physical body, just which is one unit in this vast universe, you will see multiple laws, and you will not only see those laws that they are working independently, but you see them coordinating with each other. So you have physical laws, you have biological laws, genetics, physiology, psychology, dharma, and karma. And there is an intelligence which coordinates all these laws in every one organism in this universe, and also the whole universe as such. Okay? So there is a network of this intelligence. Now, at every level of organization, suppose you look at physics, law of physics, you will see that ultimately even a physicist will say that everything is nothing but particles. But the particles need to organize themselves in order to become atoms. This requires both knowledge and the power. Otherwise, it is not possible. So that means now the atoms have to come together and create, for example, if it is a biological law, cells. That requires yet another level of organization. That also requires knowledge and power.
Neema, what about will? Will. You
What
talk
will?
about knowledge and power. Is there not will?
So the power includes the power to do it. Will doesn't come into, because Isvara is not one entity like that. So we will see, but you're right, in Taittiriya Upanishad it is written, so kamayata, bahusyam praja ye yeti satapo tapyata satapastatva. So that means as though this knowledge and power had a will to manifest as the whole universe. But that is actually just showing cyclical nature of the universe, where there is a manifestation and then it actually comes back, resolution and manifestation. But please don't think about this knowledge and power as one little entity sitting with all knowledge and all power. We are not talking about an entity. This knowledge and power which is in and through creation. It's not one little entity which, like you have limited knowledge and limited power, don't imagine yet another big entity with all knowledge and all power. That's not Isvara. That is not Vedic Isvara. Right? So it is that intelligence which pervades everything. So therefore, even when the cells come together, they have to create what? Different organs, kidney, liver, your respiratory system, your digestive system, your intestines, all of this, the same cells. So again there is intervention of knowledge and power, which with this permutation and combination, it will create this organ which has its specific function. Then it will create this organ which has its specific function. Each organ will have its specific function. Then they all will be coordinated in a human body. This again requires yet another organization, all knowledge and all power. This is just one entity in this universe. Now think about all the different entities in the universe, which include not only human beings, but it includes fish, the aquatic kingdom, it includes animal kingdom. Same principle, please understand. The particles have to organize themselves into atoms. Atoms have to organize themselves into cells. Cells have to organize themselves into different organs. And different organs have to organize themselves into, now, instead of a human, what? Becoming an animal. So I went to Australia. Somebody had called me to Australia some 3 years ago. And I was in Sydney. And somebody took me to there is a very beautiful aquarium by Darling Harbour, or some harbour. And I went to the aquarium and they have fish. And it is interesting, the anatomy of fish is almost identical to human being. They have, so in that whole anatomy they show this is an intestine, this is a kidney, and the form is totally different. Some tweaking, and then what? The fish can swim in the water, and there was a museum guard who had to go and feed the fish. How did he have to go? He put one whole big tank and he went, whereas the fish required no tank. From the same raw material, infinite permutations and combinations. This is the magnitude of knowledge, and the same organs but fitted totally differently. But you tweak it little bit and it's totally different. So there are some which are what? Hot blood, and some are cold blood, right? You've studied biology? Yeah, you remember all of that? So you don't remember. Okay, wonderful. So, so that means there is an intervention of this intelligence in every living being, bird. So, and don't think it is like some intelligence out there. At every level of organization, there is an intervention of knowledge and power. So different permutations and combinations create this variety in this universe. Then you can say, I can see the intelligence in all the kind of living beings. But what about non-living beings? Mountains, rocks, water, sun. Because if you look at science, sun is nothing but just atoms, hydrogen atoms, which convert into helium. So where is intelligence there? So therefore, this is again the same thing. The placement of earth vis-a-vis the sun, exact placement. If the sun was too close to the earth, earth will burn. If the sun was little far, life on earth is not possible. And the most important part is that the whole universe is actually in a flux, it's moving. So that means that constant distance remains as the earth is moving on its own axis, it is moving around the sun. Sun itself is stationary with reference to the earth, but itself the whole galaxy is moving. In a continuously moving thing, you keep the distance constant. You try to throw two balls and they are moving, but their distance has to be constant. How difficult it is. Now here we are talking about the whole universe. So therefore, please don't mistake to think that inert things. This is why in Vedic culture we don't have inert things. We have Isvara everywhere. Because you see the intelligence. You don't only see hydrogen atoms as hydrogen atoms. The placement of that the sun with vis-a-vis the earth. While at that distance, what is the sun doing for earth? Not only making your life possible, it's cooking your food. All the plants which are standing here, they are drawing from the sun through the process of photosynthesis in order to prepare food for you. But when they prepare food for you, each plant taking the same energy from the sun prepares what? Different nutrients. She's an Ayurveda. So what, if I ask her, what is good for, what vitamin A? What has vitamin A? Carrots.
Carrots, anything that makes carrots, anything.
Yeah.
Sweet potato.
sweet potato. So that means standing there, they draw from the sun and they produce vitamin A. Some other plant, orange, what does it produce? Vitamin C. Mind-boggling. You understand the enormity of this intelligence? It is mind-boggling. So therefore, and all those nutrients, by the way, are needed by our body for it to be nourished. Now, in order for the plants to grow, you need water. How is water created? Potable water. The ocean water, there is a whole big process. The ocean water, evaporates, forms clouds, and at the right time, hopefully, with global warming things may change, but normally at the right time, in the monsoon time, at least in India, it falls as rain. And then we save that water, and then there are rivers. So that means there is this whole big arrangement which includes not only living beings, but also non-living beings. How does 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom create water? Knowledge and power. And that water not only is just a water, but it has a function. What is a function? All the animals, everybody. You go to Africa, we went to Masai Mara, which is the national park. So all the people who want to take you to see the games, the easiest thing for them to do is to take you at 4 o'clock in the morning near a water body. All the animals come to drink water there. So that means this H2O, not only there is a whole big arrangement of how the ocean water gets converted into potable water, but how it satisfies the need of every living being. How it gets stored inland and how it satisfies the need of everyone. So that means, and this sun itself, hydrogen atoms are constantly creating what? Helium, in order for you to have the energy. So therefore, in all of this, our normal understanding is water is inert, sun is inert, the mountains are inert. The whole Vedic vision in everything is, who was saying yesterday, Namaru, names and forms. Names and forms of what? This intelligence which is manifesting in so many different ways. So if you look at the world with reference to any given form, it may just seem like you are just one form, so what? But if you look at the whole universe as Isvara, then every form, you are connected to every form because every form is a manifestation of the same intelligence that you are a manifestation of. Immediately, as I told you yesterday, you free yourself from sense of isolation and you are immediately connected. Because all that is here is one intelligence manifesting in so many different forms. Change little bit of permutation and combination, it becomes a different within. So what kind of, it is interesting, infinite variety. What kind of infinite variety? Sajatiya Bheda, Vijatiya Bheda, and Swagataha Bheda. What does it mean? Within Sajati, within one group, there are so many differences. What does it mean? Mango tree. It is one group, mango tree. Within mango tree group, there are infinite varieties. So in Bombay we have Alfonso, in north you have what? Right? In the south you have Banganapalli, and then you have Imam Pasad. So that means you have within one group so many different varieties. Vijatiya Bheda. Tree is different from animal. Swagataha Peda, right? So there are two different groups altogether. Swagataha Peda. Swagataha Peda is what? Within one body there are so many different organs. So that means so many, within one entity there are so many different parts. So that means if you don't have Vedic vision, all you see is Bheda. Either differences between the group or differences within one group or differences within one given entity, and there are so many different parts. How will you come to oneness here? The only way to come to oneness is through Isvara. You don't have to collapse all of this. You don't need to resolve all these differences. You can keep those differences, but you can bring one factor in. What makes each form what it is? What gives its uniqueness to that given form? What distinguishes it from every other form, other groups of form? And within one form itself there are incredible intricacies. One thing which is common in all of them is all knowledge and all power. The work of all knowledge and all power. All of a sudden this Bheda Drishti is gone and oneness vision has come. Without collapsing anything. Everything remains exactly as it is. But your understanding of things have changed forever. You see the work of intelligence everywhere. So that means this is now what Lord Krishna is saying is this Bheda Drishti, suppose you don't do anything with and you want to get to Brahman. It's too far. Because you still remain very small and you have to keep thinking I am limitless, I am limitless, I am limitless. It all becomes up in the air. This is one entity which will immediately convert your Bheda Drishti into oneness. So that means you, in this case, what happens is you become part of the whole. Whole is Isvara, all knowledge and all power. The whole grand universe, cosmos. It's all one entity, not many entities. Isvara. And you're intimately connected to this entity because you are part of this whole design. You are part of the system. You are not an isolated being in this system. Now, when you do that, what happens is, as I told you, it's this knowledge and power is the job of this knowledge and power is to manifest the universe. And within this manifestation, each form has its own potentiality. So what it means is, when you are born, when a human being is born with a potential to either understand the whole oneness first with Isvara and then move to the final reality, which is Brahman, or the human being continues to live with what the eyes can meet and only lives as seeing all the differences. This potentiality is there. Now, what happens is, this potential you have come with, so that means you have come with the brain, and that brain is designed. It is capable of knowing Isvara, it is capable of knowing Brahman, or it is capable of living with its own values, with what they believe, what they think of the world, and continue to live like that, right? That faculty of choice is there for everyone. Now, suppose a human being gets, with this Bheda Drishti, gets disenchanted with the world because I'm too small, and all these laws, where is my capacity to intervene with all these laws? Very little, but I still want to control everything. So I get tired. By the time I'm 40 or 45, if I don't enhance my vision of things, I get fed up. Because you try to control things that you have no control of. And there is one presence which is intelligence, which is connecting you to the whole universe, and you have no knowledge of that. Not a good way to live, because you have an extremely partial vision of the universe. So that means, suppose you get disenchanted with Veda and you want to move to this Brahman, and you want to leave all this behind and call it Mithya, and you want to move straight to Brahman. Lord Krishna is saying it's not possible, because this Veda Buddhi has created too many other distortions. It has created many other distortions of all kinds of frustrations and everything, emotional loads, everything that I have been talking about. So what he is saying is, first you need to see the whole universe as one. That is given to you as a potential. So you have to collapse it. Now, knowing Brahman. As I told you in the morning, even knowing Isvara, right? When you open your eyes, this is your perception. Who is going to show you a vision of oneness? When you open your eyes, you only see differences. What can lead you to oneness? You need an independent means of knowledge. Now, where does that independent means of knowledge come from? Every individual is as ignorant as you are. What could be the source of that knowledge? Isvara, Dakshinamurti. It is represented here. No human being who is ignorant is capable of solving it. So this knowledge obviously comes from Sarvagnaha Sarvashaktiman Ishvara. Now, what is an irony is, the knowledge is coming from Sarvagnaha Sarvashaktiman Ishvara, that everything is one, and he is first showing you Ishvara and then he is showing you Brahman, but you don't even accept Ishvara, you want to go straight here. The knowledge comes from all knowledge, which is the source of all knowledge. You have ignorance, here there is no ignorance. Because there is no ignorance, there is this means of knowledge. As I told you in the morning, you need a means of knowledge. If you ask, what is the source of this means of knowledge? This is why we have beautiful verses. Sada Shiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. So that means, then there is what? Shruti Smriti Purana Nam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah. The entire Pramana comes from Isvara. So Lord Krishna, hey, you want to get here, you can't bypass me. This knowledge is coming from me. And the way I have organized, this is what the Isvara is very clever, because the way it is organized is, until you have settled account with Isvara in living in this world, re-looking at the world, not with Bheda Drishti, but as one intelligent order in which you have things to do, where you have to contribute, where you have to actually get well. if you try to bypass Isvara, that is what he says, ultimately can you decide that I want to get knowledge tomorrow? I want moksha today. No, I want moksha 5 births from now. In fact, you don't know. So that means you have no control over things. Otherwise, who would not like to know that I am limitlessness right now? But is it up to you? The veil of ignorance has to be removed. Not only the knowledge is in the hand of Isvara, but when that veil will be lifted is also in the order of Isvara. Nobody can say, today I want to become a jnani. You need Isvara all the way. There is no way you can skip Isvara and move to the final reality. You're meeting a guru who knows this reality, who can communicate to you clearly without creating some further crazy ideas. How you will go with a torch and look at guru, search for a guru? You are in the spiritual town of Rishikesh. Now, how do I know? So yesterday's question, how do I know somebody knows or not? How many people know? How? You'll go with a torch? Who's a jnani? Who's not a jnani? Who knows? Who doesn't know? So he can see, I can't. He can see dots, I don't. Right? So that means what you need to understand is you meeting a teacher is also a result of Ishvara's grace. What kind of teacher you meet? They tell you. Either they confuse your mind further or they give you some clarity. It's all in some order. You don't control. Please give up this idea of control. These human beings have this huge thing of controlling everything, where actually they are not in control.
The choices, when you choose?
The choices you can make, which are intelligent choices, but that means you have to understand the universe and you have to navigate intelligently. So that means, suppose you meet somebody, right, by chance. The choices you can make, right? Choices you can make by what? Suppose with the grace of Isvara, suppose you meet the right teacher. And your choice, your mind is, oh yeah, I want to get married. So there are so many people are like that, really. So Swamiji used to, so many people, so they come because they are lonely and this and that. So they come to Vedanta class. Why? Because hopefully they'll meet somebody. So then what happens is, now they've come for the so-called truth, but their real interest is meeting somebody. So the minute they meet somebody, suppose they meet somebody, then what happens? All the time is spent with that person. Vedanta and Isvara and all is forgotten. This is Ishvara's way, that your choices are always tested. What is it that you really want? At every given point in your life, you will have so many different options. And suppose you are looking for some little candies, but you have come to Vedanta. And then these little candies are given, you are very happy, and you go away. Or you are sitting in the class and looking, who can be my boyfriend? This is how it is. So that means it is of course your choices.
I'm very worried because I told, I think, Stefan that only. No, I was just joking.
Yeah. So therefore, what you have to say is, the knowledge is from Ishvara. For meeting the right guru,
Not let it go.
you can't see at all.
No, there's a black film there.
Okay. You need grace of Ishvara. the
invisible link.
The invisible link. While you have this amazing guru who's teaching you, you need a mind which understand. You need grace of Isvara. Entire pursuit in your preparing, becoming from this small individual, from an isolated individual to what? A connected individual. From a dissatisfied individual to a person who has gratitude, and from a consumer who's just grabbing things to being a contributor. That shift will take place when you have Isvara in your life. And when you prepare yourself like that, then what the final, so with that mind, the words of Shastra which are coming from Isvara will begin to make sense. They will begin to create right meaning in you, in your mind, and not some distortions and not some other deviations. So therefore, you need the grace of Isvara all the way. And the final thing of what, when the ignorance is what is opposed to ignorance is when will this knowledge take place?
And the grace from Isvara is not different to different people.
It is different to different people,
then,
obviously.
depending on the laws and how.
Yeah, exactly. So that means the laws are same, but then your actions and what initiatives you take and how you use your free will is all different. Your past, your mental makeup, everything is different. So that means the laws are the same, but different people have a different starting point. So, and also different, as I told you, some people are extremely good at logic, but they have to work on their emotional intelligence. Some people come with emotional intelligence, but they have weak logic, so they have to work on that. So, which direction you have to, but it all has to be done within Ishvara's order. So, this is why Lord Krishna is saying, hey, you try to escape me and you go there, it's not possible.
So it's more of EQ than IQ, is that?
Sorry?
It's more of emotional quotient than intelligence quotient.
Yes, at the same time when the pramana is using prakriyas, like simple prakriya I use today, drik drishya viveka, how long it took for people to understand what exactly this prakriya is doing, what it is trying to do, how is it related to knowing the nature of Atma. It takes time, even logically it takes time. So after I show the prakriya, somebody says, oh then how can a mind know this? But I just, you see what I mean? The preparation is not only in emotional quotient but also in intellect. It takes a long time for people because these are logics which are not normal logics. They are logics to show what is your nature, what is Isvara. So you have to follow those logics to see what Shruti is saying about these realities. Our tendency is to come back to our own logic with our own observation which operates within here.
And that's more IQ, I would imagine.
But this is also, this getting to here is also a lot of IQ. That is, suppose I showed you Drik Drishya Viveka, that didn't require emotional quotient. It required use of logic. Is it clear?
I was feeling a bit uncomfortable with the example of, suppose I'm single, I'm coming to this class, and also because I'm interested in Vedanta and then I'm looking for a husband. And you were saying, the minute I find one, then everything is waste. But actually, if the person has grown as a human being, has expanded, and has found a husband and is happy, it's not waste. It's
No. See, please don't
work in progress.
Don't look at the.
No, but
I'm saying is the buddhi, right? The thing is that how easy it is the mind to be diverted. So their priorities change. I don't say everybody will change priorities. Please don't the point is that for your mind to stay on track, the mind is fickle by nature. And it doesn't have a sense of priority very clear. And therefore, you need some grace of Isvara. Really, you don't. Otherwise, if you just use the mind and its capacities, it'll attract you to this, then it'll attract you to that, then it'll attract you to this, and this is how it is. And in that faculty, I didn't say that. What she's saying is faculty of choice. The faculty of choice, if it is not very well developed, it is very easy to go here and there. So simple, in this tradition they give this example. What is the example? There was some person who was wanting to learn Vedanta. So the teacher wanted to see how ready that person is. So this is a traditional story. So the teacher was in Varanasi, and the teacher said, you go to Kerala and you come back, that's all. So now what happened is, they had to travel. So as you travel, so all he had to do is, he has come for Vedanta, you go to Rameshwaram and you come back. As he is going, then I'll teach you. So the guy goes to from Varanasi, he's walking down, then he meets somebody, then he falls in love, then he says, okay, now I have to get married. Then you get married, then I have to find what?
House.
Home. Then I have to find home, then I have to earn. Then I have to earn, and then I have to what? Now I need children. So that means he wanted to learn, but so easily his mind got distracted. Everybody need not be. It's not like marriage is a distraction. It's not like, not that children are a distraction, but what happens is your faculty of choice, if you have not understood, everything else again becomes important. What is the first thing that we studied? The person who is a mumukshu. Who is a mumukshu? Who understands very clearly artha, dharma and kama will not give me what I am searching. Bring back everything. Otherwise what happens? Every statement I make and you isolate it and create objection. You miss the whole point. So you have to see the whole thing in a context, right? So that means then what you are saying is absolutely right. What it means is that suppose now I don't deviate from moksha, then house becomes meaningful, having a relationship becomes meaningful, having children can become meaningful, your work can become meaningful, because that can be used to grow as a human being. So either it can become a deviation or it can become a means to grow. But that also is your choice. So using your faculty of choice wisely is critical to learning Vedanta. You can do everything, but in that everything you can either lose perspective or you can keep your goals clear and make it all work for you towards that goal. That choice you have to have. In itself, nothing is wrong, nothing is bad. Right? So now that you say this is interesting. When I and Surya got married, there is a ritual. There is a ritual which is called Kashi Yatra. So we got married in South India. So we did it according to South Indian style in Swamiji's ashram. So there is a whole ritual called Kashi Yatra. So we are about to get married, and Surya, this is a ritual. So he is now.
But I enacted it.
We enact this ritual. Surya is scared now. He says, "No, I want moksha and this. I get married and I'm caught in all these day-to-day living and all that." So he literally picks up his book and his lakdi and he wants to go to Kashi. This is a ritual. Now, my father comes and tells him that, hey, don't think that my daughter will be an obstacle to your journey towards moksha. She also wants moksha. That's such a cute thing. It's wonderful. And what? She will also your journey and you help her in yours.
Beautiful.
This is Vedic wedding. You don't lose sight of your final goal. If that person himself becomes your goal, that person may disappoint you. But if your goal is moksha, every relationship becomes meaningful. Your work becomes meaningful. Because through everything, you are not searching for final fulfillment, but you are searching for growth, human growth. Then everything in this world will become meaningful. But the choice, if the priority changes, then everything goes haywire. Because in that change of priority means now you begin to think artha, dharma and kama is going to give you the final satisfaction. Do you see the change of priority, what it means? It is a big thing in life, really. So therefore, this is and I'll tell you how well assimilated it was for Swamiji. So he told us, right after we got married, he told us. He says that I thought that you two will make a good couple and I got you two together. But in reality, I have no idea what life is going to unfold for you. Who knows what will happen 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 6 years from now. Life can bring so many surprises. How will you trust? Because you can't make those unknown knowns. The only link for trust is, as Matthew was saying, Isvara, intelligent order. Whatever happens, it is not outside the intelligent order. Your trust in Isvara will make you live your life with certain sanity, without getting anxious, without getting all worried, without all kinds of fears, without, will give you some resilience and some trust.
No, but if you made wrong choices, then you will have fears and anxiety.
Sorry?
You know, if you've gone against the law,
So at least,
if deep down know that you've made wrong choices, then you'll have fear and anxiety.
yeah, that's true. But here what we are trying to say is bringing Isvara, right? Of course, if I have abused my free will, then definitely, right? But generally, at least at our point, after studying for 3.5 years, hopefully you don't go so much deviate.
Yeah.
But ultimately what I want to show is you have to trust. So that means what you are saying is, very good, Priya. Suppose some difficulty comes to you. Either you can say, what have I done to deserve it? Or you can say, yeah, there is some order. But order doesn't mean I have to suffer those difficulties. Order means now, instead of blaming the world and blaming myself, I work towards the solution.
Do something, don't do something, do it differently.
Exactly. You can do something, you need not do, but intelligently, and you can do it differently. So you enter into a problem-solving mode rather than blaming mode. All of this is so critical. So what this verse is saying is, you think that you want this because this is the highest and you want to bypass me, forget it. At every point in your pursuit of even moksha, you need Isvara. So therefore, and then finally, what he says in this verse is, suppose you pursue Isvara, when will you get to Brahman? Krishna says, please don't think that what is the pursuit of Isvara is other than Brahman, because my true nature is also Brahman. Tattvamasi. So that means this Brahman which is awareness. So this Brahman in the morning class we have seen what? Chit. I didn't call it Brahman. I called it what?
Awareness.
True nature of Atma. then you can ask the question, what is the relationship between all knowledge and all power and awareness? Excellent. So that means Satya-Mithya relationship, what does it mean? Yeah. What it means is, now, knowledge and power, can it exist without awareness? No. So that means, let's not call it Satya-Mithya. So it's not like Brahman is Satyam and Isvara is Mithya, because that will create a problem. What you have to say is, true nature of Isvara is also Brahman. There are no two things. This is why you are here into learning vision of oneness. Vision of oneness means you can't create artificial divisions. Oh, if I pursue Isvara, when will I get to Brahman? Hey, my true nature is also Brahman. And through this teaching, I'm showing you, you and me are one. So that means, if the teaching is you and me are one, and you are not even willing to accept that Isvara, what will you equate? Your awareness will be hanging up in the air. So therefore, and the whole teaching is designed in a way, first it makes you understand the presence of Isvara, takes care of looking at this very universe which you see with this Bheda Drishti, which creates all kinds of problems for you. You see it with the vision of oneness and learn to work with the laws. Use your free will to learn to work with the laws. Law of dharma. And then it becomes all this connected. There is a connection, there is contribution. All of that happens. Then the next part of teaching, that both Jiva and Isvara are ultimately Brahman. That teaching is from whom? Isvara. Isvara knows this reality, you don't know it. So the teaching is from Isvara. So therefore, the Isvara then teaches you, hey, my true nature is Brahman and your true nature is equally Brahman.
So when we say Isvara is all knowledge and all power,
yes,
are we attributing qualities to it?
So which, no other qualities, only all knowledge and all power.
Is that a quality?
It's not a quality, it's a knowledge is not a quality, right? So that means when atoms come together to create, the particles come together to create atom, the knowledge and power, does it gain any quality? Does it have any quality of happiness, sadness? Not at all. And that's why when the particles have become atom, has the knowledge and power become atom? No. Because if it had become atom, you can't have further progressions. In itself is only Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman, Ishvara. The minute you give it any other quality, you want to make it more romantic, more emotional, more emotionally appealing. And suppose you give it a quality called love. What is the problem? Huh?
It will get stuck up over.
It will get stuck. Why will it get stuck?
Because everything is love.
But superb. So what it means is, if Isvara is everywhere, then everywhere there has to be love. Then how will you account for hatred? You have to find another cause. And when you find another cause, then Isvara becomes. So there are two forces. One is God, which is so-called good, with attributed to all the good qualities, and all the bad qualities are attributed to some whoever, evil force. in this, what? You can't call it the reality of everything. It just becomes one entity. You think you're praising it, you are reducing it. It is that intelligence. See, it's very, very important. All these qualities that we are talking about, please don't mistake them, because they are qualities of mind. Love, hatred, jealousy. What happens is, we attribute these qualities to Isvara. They don't belong to Isvara, they belong to human mind. And as human mind becomes more and more sane, it will have evolved emotions. So it is you who's evolving. As a result of the understanding of Isvara, you may find your connection with others. You may become more compassionate. You may become more connected to the universe. But it doesn't, please don't attribute these qualities to Isvara. It is the quality of mind that you will enjoy as a result of this understanding.
Are you asking, is intelligence a quality and power a quality? I think he's...
So it's a definition. It's not called characteristic. So this is a kind of these are called defining words. What is Isvara? These are called defining words. It's not like there is one thing called Isvara and these are the attributes of Isvara. No, these are defining words. What is Isvara? What do we mean by Isvara? So what is the difference? This is going to come in detail in Taittiriya Upanishad. What it means is, suppose you say there is a table. So table is an object. And what are the attributes? It's a big table, it's a green table. So these are what we call adjectives. Do you understand? So this is a noun and this is an adjective. So that means this green and the big and this distinguishes this table from other tables. Are we talking about there is one entity called Isvara and then these are the qualities, all knowledge, all power? No. Because then there is one Isvara with other qualities. No. These are what we call defining words. Suppose you say, if I use the name, right? Namna, Namni, what? Surya used this word. What is this word you used? Nama and Nami. So this is what it means. Nama means the name. And Nama refers to Nami, the one who has that name. Isvara is a name. But what does it refer to?
Knowledge and power.
And that knowledge and power which pervades everything. Show me one place in this universe where there is no knowledge and power, where there are no laws. So that means where there is. So this is what we call, this is not called attributes of Isvara. This is defining words. They define what is Isvara.
Then what about the Brahman then?
Sorry?
What about the Brahman?
Yeah, they are also defining words. Awareness is a defining. So different Upanishads we will see in the morning. We can't know everything about everything. But Sat, Chit, Ananda is one way. This is defined. It's not an adjective. They
So
are
those two
defined.
are not separate things at all. It's just different ways of looking at it.
It's a defining. So suppose I use the word Brahman. What will you understand? I said Atma is Brahman. Then you will have to say, what does it mean, Brahman? So I have to use some words to tell you what I mean by Brahman. This is what we call defining word. Suppose I say Isvara is everywhere. What is everywhere? So I have to use the defining words. What is everywhere? I can show you there is intelligence and power everywhere. One is the word and the other one is the meaning, what it conveys. Yeah? Otherwise, words become meaningless unless they have capacity to convey. Yes.
So going back to your yesterday's example, Brahman, Isvara and Jiva, this could be water, ocean and waves.
Excellent. So that means ultimately, very good. Let's come back to that. So, very good. Ultimately, you're this individual, right, who is caught here in this Veda. And you're this one individual. And you see the world with so many different species. You see even within your species, so many different people. And within your body, so many different organs. Some of them work, sometimes it's pain, sometimes it aches. So you're caught in this Veda. And because of this Veda, and you try to control. So more problems. So therefore, what Lord Krishna is saying, that this individual first has to relate to Isvara. That is like the ocean, the wave, understanding that every wave belongs to the same entity called ocean. And the ocean has its own laws through which it operates. And all of them are contained within those laws. Nobody can say, I am not subject to those laws of the ocean. So if you have to intelligently navigate, you have to first understand the ocean, you have to understand how it works, and you have to guide your life within the laws of that ocean. That is the first step. This is what Lord Krishna is saying in this verse. As you begin to guide and you navigate intelligently, knowing the presence of ocean, then your mind is no longer afflicted with all kinds of Vedas and trying to control and everything. Then it is ready for yet another reality. So suppose you use this, that you are the individual and the knowledge comes from Isvara. As you begin to understand the all-pervading presence of Isvara, you begin to unload yourself and you begin to live intelligently. Your mind becomes clear. Your faculties are now available to inquire into yet another reality. So what that now that Isvara tells you, that ocean tells you, hey, in reality I'm water. And in reality you are also water. Now that you have got Isvara in your life and you've got well, Isvara gives you one more reality. That in reality I am Brahman. It is my true nature. And that is also your true nature. But if you try to get here without this, not possible.
Well, I understood what you said before, but with the example of the wave, the ocean and the water, I'm falling back a little bit because I think a wave can understand that it is water without understanding before that it's also an ocean or that's in the ocean.
Okay, suppose this wave understands I'm water. Big deal. So what?
I mean the relation, what it means.
Suppose you keep telling, oh, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind. This is a Vedanta which is useless Vedanta. I'm not body, I'm not mind, I'm awareness. So what? What is this awareness? This awareness is truth of the whole universe, because this awareness is the truth of Isvara, and Isvara pervades everything. Do you understand that? It's not you pervade everything. You cannot bypass. Sorry? You cannot bypass. You cannot, because suppose this was only your personal awareness, what's the big deal? So that means this awareness is also truth of Isvara. And where is Isvara? Everywhere. And therefore, because Isvara is everywhere, in the past, in the present, in the future, and if this awareness is truth of Isvara, it is there in the past, it is there in the present, it is there in the future.
So if I deny all the things around, I say I'm Brahman. It means I don't understand what it is because it is around.
Absolutely. Do you understand the magnitude of not understanding? You have to see in your mind the magnitude of non-understanding if you don't bring in Isvara.
The magnitude is that you don't know how to exist in the world in an intelligent manner.
No, even suppose you keep saying, I am awareness. What? This awareness is what? It's so small still, right? You keep, this is why we keep doing. I am this awareness and I am observing everything. You still remain very small. Right? So we are not talking. What gives this limitlessness to this awareness is the fact that it is the truth of Isvara. Because your form can go, Isvara doesn't go. Form is very finite, 80 years, 90 years. Then what happens to your awareness? Yeah, maybe awareness continues, one little pocket continuing. So that means that this awareness happens to be the truth of Isvara. And because it is the truth of Isvara, Isvara survives forms. Isvara is a much bigger entity than forms. And therefore, this awareness instantaneously becomes the truth of everything. Because Isvara is the truth of everything.
Can you put it differently?
Yeah.
See, if you just stay at the level of wave and water, or individual, and say, I am awareness, what is left uninquired into or not resolved at all? There is still a universe. So now you are saying, okay, I am awareness and I am not affected by anything. And so, what about this universe? How did it come about? What is my relationship with this universe? What is the cause of this? All this is left like totally blank, not addressed. So it means you say, oh, I want to find the reality of everything. I don't need to look at the universe. So are you looking at the reality of everything? Or you think that by zooming in into this little ridiculous like kind of body and mind, like this little envelope of skin and bones, you will get to the limitlessness? You see how much is the loss? The universe, which is a manifestation of Isvara, and whose cause is Isvara, is left hanging. There is no inquiry at all in that. And unfortunately, this is how many versions of modern Vedanta are staying with. They are just staying there. Go around, you will see, read, you will see. This is what is popular. It's popular because it is like incomplete, it's simple, Sakshik. Okay? Hey, come on. There's so many things which it might get you somewhere, but really it's incomplete. And as she said, I like what Priya said also. Because then how you live as an individual, so now you're saying you are awareness and you are also a jiva. But then how do you live in this world? So there is one thing which is the awareness, another thing which is the jiva, and another thing which is the universe, but you don't want to look into it. But still you have to continue to live, right? So how do you live? You see the enormity of the loss when you take away this part of the inquiry.
You become more isolated. Yeah, it's like what we are saying, if you get Isvara, you become connected. This way you become more isolated.
But first of all, you can't get there without getting here. Exactly. That is the first simple thing, right? So don't even project and say, oh yeah, suppose I got here and suppose I didn't get there. The way in this verse, Lord Krishna is saying is, you can't get here without getting here. It's not possible. Why is it not possible? Because this happens to be the truth of this, and you also have, how will you deny the presence of Isvara? The very fact that I can speak, my vocal cords are working, my neurons are working, Am I sitting and making it all work? Okay, wrong, you go from here to here. I want this connection to be here. It is already done by Ishvara. So that means, please understand, where there is wave, that's exactly where there is ocean. Where there is ocean, there exactly there is water. There are three things. If you just take one and the last one, what is the connecting link? Because it's not up to you. Ocean is there. So if you want to know the truth, you can't ignore some part and I'm only interested in this part. If the ocean is there and your mind doesn't want to see the ocean, what will happen?
The maximum you can reach is that you will be a pocket of water. And you have also to say, yeah, this person also says that the reality of this individual is also awareness. So maximum you can reach to is that there are so many pockets of consciousness. That's all what you will reach to. And where is the fulfillment there? Where is the limitlessness there? There is no. Right?
If ocean is an entity, can you ignore it? As simple as that.
No, because the waves need to know why the high tide, low tide, how it's functioning.
We are trying to understand what is. So if what is, there is an ocean, what is my need to skip it? Tell me. Where is the pressure coming from that I am very much integral part of the ocean and I don't want to think about it? Where is that pressure coming from?
So just one question. So Isvara is knowledge and power. My actions and ramifications has also got linkages
with everybody else.
Yeah. So therefore, if I am the wave here, the way I navigate also determines the course of the waves that is going to follow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. This is why it is so critical. In how will you get well if you don't bring Ishvara?
And the other thing is, wave, maybe what we're knowing is, in this example, it doesn't have a mind, but actually there's a mind. And to actually purify that mind, you also need Ishvara knowledge, actually. Because how are you going to accept the things? How are you going to resolve the loads?
So as I told you, from the very beginning, you have Ishvara. The knowledge, Brahman is actionless. Brahman has no attribute. So that means, where is the knowledge, these words, where are they coming from? You don't know it because you are covered by ignorance. It comes from Ishvara, all knowledge and all power. There is a whole methodology and you meet a teacher. Where is it coming from? In this whole vast universe. 13 billion people, you meet one person. If you think in terms of probability, what is the probability? Well, then you listen to it and your mind is understanding it. Otherwise you can just change your mind and what? Reprogram it to understand I am Brahman. You are working within these laws. But if your mind is not trying to understand something which is within, that means there is some block. It doesn't want to accept something which is. So that means that mind is not ready because it's not seeing which is so apparent, which is so clearly is. It's not you who decides what you want to see and what you don't want to see. What is knowledge is Vastu Tantra. Vastu Tantra means it is in keeping with what is. If there is Ishvara and if your buddhi doesn't want to see it, it's your choice. Of course it is your choice. But can't be called knowledge.
What difference Vedanta make between Ishvara and God?
God? We don't have God. We have Ishvara.
But and what difference would it make? Where would God be?
God doesn't fit in here because I don't know.
So Ishvara won't be God. It would be clear that in Vedanta, Ishvara and God is not.
Define God. What do you mean when you say God? We have given a definition of Ishvara. When you say God, what do you mean?
I
all
want
power and all knowledge.
I want, when you say Vedanta at the beginning, I think in the introduction class, it was Vedanta is not religious. When I hear all this, I agree, I love it. I'm not, but I can see wrongly, but I can see that you can superpose, if you want, both of them. So I'm trying to understand whether what you are saying is that it can exist without God. God is a man concept and it's not pure, or if it's the, I'm trying to
So now,
make
let's
it
look
in
at,
my mind.
okay, God. So right, what we refer to is the cause of the universe. Right? Generally when you say God, right, it means cause of the universe? Or what do you mean, as Surya said, what do you mean when you say God?
When I'm rather agnostic, but when I studied, for example, Hindu religion, they were speaking of Isvara as Shiva, as God.
Okay.
So and when I hear that, I'm confused.
Okay.
I don't know where the limit is, where the difference
Okay.
is.
So the cause of the universe, right? God means Isvara. This is Sanskrit. It means cause of the universe. According to the Vedic vision, right, it's not, as I told you, your relationship with Isvara is not like you're this individual and Isvara is some big uncle controlling you. It's not external to you. As I told you, that in the vision of Veda is what? There is one big intelligence in which all these, it's different entities exist. So that means there is a presence of that intelligence everywhere, as I just showed you, and I keep showing you in your body, in the body of everything else, and how your interaction with me is connected to the laws. That is intelligence everywhere. So that means we are first of all taking away a God as an entity, and we are showing it as all-pervading intelligence. Now your question is, then how do you, even within Hinduism, how do we have Shiva, how do we have Brahma, how do we have Vishnu? Is that your question? Okay, let me answer that. Right. Now, this intelligence can be seen from so many different standpoints. So as I said, everything is manifestation of this intelligence. This intelligence is not somewhere, it is here. It is making me speak, it is making my neurons work. So don't think that it's some abstract thing that I'm talking about. Right? Now, this intelligence, when you see it from its capacity to bring about every new moment. 6:35 is gone, 6:36 will come. Creation. It's called Brahma. In order for 36 to come, 35 has to go. Destruction, Shiva. Between this constant change of creation and destruction, there is a seeming sustenance, Vishnu. So that means when you understand that intelligence from its capacity to constantly create new moments, it is given one name. When you see it with reference to its capacity to destroy every second, some moments, you call it another name. Between this seeming, it's like changing. Every second it is changing. Suppose your eyes were programmed in a way that you see a changing universe all the time. Every second you capture, you can't interact with the universe. There is a seeming stability. Suppose your mind was capturing all the movements. There are so many bacteria here and viruses and within your bodies, all the different things, digestive system, everything is changing in a flux. The earth itself is moving and it is going around its own axis and is going around the sun. If you capture the whole change, you will not be able to transact with the universe. It gives you, within this constant change, it gives you this stability, within which you fall in love, you fall out of love, everything happens, all dramas happen. So that means that this is what we call Isvara. Now the same intelligence when you see it from the standpoint of how the resources are endowed, you call it Lakshmi. The same intelligence from the standpoint of how intelligence is, each one is born with a different intelligence. You can't reprogram. You can learn and you can do things. That is a potential within that whatever capacities you have, Saraswati. So that means if intelligence is everywhere, how do you, either you can just say superficially it's everywhere, it's everywhere, it's everywhere, but or you can what? Make it real for you. Make it real for you at every stage of your life. That's why we don't see water as water. So Swamiji, yesterday I was reading one story of Swamiji. And a nice story. Let me tell you this story. Lovely story. So he was saying that Akbar, there was a Mughal king. He asked, there was in his court, there was an advisor. I will stop with this. It's way past. There was an advisor, and he was asking in his court, which is the most sacred river of India. So everybody said Ganga, right? Then he asked Birbal, what is the most sacred river of India? Birbal said Yamuna. So everybody was very, very surprised that how come everybody says it's Ganga and Birbal says it's Yamuna. So he asked Birbal, how come you are differing from this? So he says, why do you think it's Yamuna? So then Birbal says, yeah, because Yamuna is the bank where Lord Krishna was. So this is where Lord Krishna played, this is where he took bath and everything. So then he says, then what about Ganga? He says, who says Ganga is a river? Ganga is Jnana. That means even so-called river can become Isvara. We don't have any problem with that. You can become Isvara. You are also manifestation of Isvara. Why not? And this is why, what do? We put tilak. Why do we put? Every day you remind yourself that you are not an isolated person. You are Ishvara. You are one of the manifestations of Ishvara. If you begin to live like that, what will happen to your low self-esteem? Oh, life is not working for me. Oh, life is like this. Everything will go. You are the manifestation. And you are given certain capacities. Capacity to know, capacity to do things, capacity to desire, and you use it responsibly. That's a whole shift in vision. This is what we call personal transformation. Without personal transformation, limitlessness is a dream, a pipe dream. You need to change your relationship with the world. You need to change your relationship with yourself, with the waters, with the earth, with the sun, with everything. In that there is fulfillment, in that there is grace, in that there is this. Swamiji used to say one thing, if you want to know the reality, you have to settle account with Isvara. You can't bypass Isvara and get to the reality. Not possible. But how do you see Isvara everywhere? By giving all these names. So that it doesn't remain just some concept in the classroom that everything is Isvara and Isvara is Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman. It has to become real for you. It's not about definitions, it's about re-looking at the world with the eyes, with the Veda Chakshu, with the eyes of the Vedas. With your eyes, when you look at the world, you see nothing but imperfection. But with the Vedic vision, you look at the world, there is only divinity and the truth of divinity, which happens to be your truth. Okay.
No, so it was the same question, but say differently. I think because I have the same question about God, because we can just. I understand that in fact you give us a response, but we can't believe in Isvara. We need to discover Isvara.
Super.
Because
This
that's why it's a
Matthew
question
gives
of
the
ability.
last lines, which are like super lines. Absolutely. And this was the book of Swamiji. Isvara is not a matter of belief. Isvara is a matter of understanding. Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere and we still miss it. Because when we open our eyes, we only see forms and we see Vedas. There is no one connecting thing that we have which is connecting us all. Because that is not an object. That's why we can't see it. But it's when Vedas show it, it's so much there. You can't miss it.
That's the reason you call it Discover Vedanta.
This is why. Right. If there is an all-pervading presence which you have to bypass, you want to bypass, what is...
Then how Arjuna asked question like this?
Which Arjuna?
Why is he not allowed to go out of control?
See, why is Arjuna asking, hey, you all are also, you're also very smart, you're a doctor. Everybody here first, we spend so much time even understanding the question. So that's it. At least he was smart enough to ask that question and we are struggling to understand what is he asking. So this is what. So this is everybody is asking a good question.
Maybe for us.
Right? And the answer, I hope the verse is a beautiful verse because he is starting with asking this or this. First, Lord Krishna says this. Then he says, please don't think this is different from this. Look at the teacher, Lord Krishna. What a brilliant answer. First he gives a categorical answer. This. But then he changes and he says, hey, you think this means you're not doing this? When will you start this then? Hey, that is included in this. So, way past that, 6:45. Any other question anybody has? One more suggestion is satsang. So that we So I'll just do the prayer and I just want to Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.